The following broadcast may contain explicit language and adult themes. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the hosts, talent, and guests, and do not reflect the opinions, views, and standards of Pyro Media Enterprises, affiliates, subsidiaries, or its members.
Happy Friday, Junior. I love Friday, Junior, so much. It is a favorite of mine. Along with donuts, I think Friday, Junior is right up there. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know how you feel, but that's how I feel in my heart. That Friday, Junior is top tier. I hope all of you are doing well. I am Nicole of Nicole Live. It is now mid-June. I feel like I was talking to y'all a minute ago and it was the beginning of June. Now we just done roll right on through, halfway through. Matter of fact, today for me was payday. And I was very excited in my heart, but then at the same time, I'm one of them people that pay my mortgage on the very last day to pay it. So I had to pay my mortgage today, and I was a little sad, but happy that I couldn't pay it, right? So let's just, shout out to that. But anyway, it's still gloomy. I feel like there's been glimpses of sunlight coming through. I don't know what Los Angeles is going through right now. Maybe it's stressed out and worried, but the sun ain't coming. So hopefully in July, we will see some brightness and some sunshine. We are headed into Father's Day this Sunday and Juneteenth on Monday. I hope I get a chance to stop by the mall, the Ballers Crenshaw Plaza, and pick me up a mahogany box Juneteenth t-shirt. I'm going to try tomorrow, see what I can do so I can support. This is a great, fabulous time of year. I mean, we got Black History all year long, right? Black History Month, Black Music Month, we got Juneteenth. It's just a wonderful time. So I want to switch gears a little bit. I had a little bit of sad news. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to what's been going on in the media. Tori Bowie, the Olympic athlete that had died, they found out that she had complications from childbirth. Now, I've had this conversation before on this show. I've talked about it on my social media. We have a really, really high African-American infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate in the United States. And it's been high for decades due to the oppressive nature of American society. So it turns out she was only 32. And it turns out that she was in labor. And for whatever reason was home alone. Maybe, she was just home alone and she started labor. Maybe she thought, I can handle this. And, stuff got out of hand. So it turns out she was 8 months pregnant and she had eclampsia, something to do with high blood pressure spikes. And it's a very serious condition where in some instances can cause seizure. And it was it's very unfortunate to find out that is what happened to her, and also that she was alone. It's getting to the point now we have to tell women, and I've seen this since we found out what happened. I've seen these posts from physicians on LinkedIn saying, if you are pregnant and a Black woman, don't be alone. You need to be with someone, and you need a blood pressure monitor in your house and check your blood pressure constantly, frequently. And if you don't feel well, you need to, tell these physicians or whoever, the doctor, the emergency room, speak up. Even if they are ignoring you, you just need to act a fool if you need to get the help you need. And it's unfortunate that we have to do these things, that we are not believed a lot when we have these issues. So it was just a really sad thing. I wanted to just highlight. First of all, rest in peace to her and her baby that I'm sure she was looking forward to seeing. And they're both gone. And it didn't have to happen that way. It's just very, very, very unfortunate. So I just want to highlight that. That really quickly. And I know it's kind of a sad thing, but I wanted to bring that up because it's such an important issue that I've talked about at least twice before on episodes of Nicole.Vick Live. Okay, switching gears. I know the former president, is he in jail yet? Something happened, indicted. I don't know, felony, something. I didn't even really dig deep, but I just saw that and I'm like, Lord, is he in handcuffs? What happened? So there's that going on, and all sorts of interesting things that I'm going to touch on today. So we're not ready quite for a commercial, so I'm going to jump into the episode last week on Nicole.Vick Live. I had Dr. Nurse back on. Jamila, we had part 2 of the conversation around abortion, and I want to talk specifically about this conversation around body autonomy. When we were talking about Margaret Sanger, eugenics, and this very real concern and fear in the Black community about genocide, right? And it's not unfounded. I said last week that in some journal articles that I have been reading, specifically in this case around Flint water crisis, for example, there was a researcher that had gone over to Flint and talked to teenagers about sort of what they perceived happened, why this happened in the community. And a lot of them said genocide. I talked about, in light of Tuskegee, the concept of genocide. And one of the things we came up with was, as far as Black folk and Black women specifically, or Black people that can be pregnant, it's really about choice and body autonomy, and that we have not had that since we've been in this country. And so I said to myself, let's look up what this means. What does body autonomy mean? So I pulled up this speech that was given by an official, Natalia Canham, that talks about body autonomy. And let me read what she said, because it characterizes it really well. It is often misunderstood and often taboo, even in the most progressive societies. The first step to realize it is articulating the concept itself and talking about it in conversations, and make it normalized. Bodily autonomy means my body is for me. My body is for me. I'm putting the emphasis on that. She didn't do that. That's me. My body is my own. It's about power and it's about agency. And we're going to talk about agency later on as well. It's about choice and it's about dignity. Bodily autonomy is the foundation for gender equality. And above all, it's a fundamental right. We know that when women and girls have the information, the services, and the means to make decisions about their own bodies and lives, free from violence, discrimination, or coercion, they can chart their own destiny and realize their full potential. And when they do, the benefits to their health, education, income, and safety extend to their communities, countries, and beyond. Societies flourish when women and girls are empowered to exercise their bodily autonomy. And yet many are still denied this basic right. And we're starting to see women, even in the United States, you think, oh, we're in the US, we're free. We are being denied our basic right for bodily autonomy. And then I found another really, really good article written by Akela Galloway on this website called Sister Love. And she talks about bodily autonomy in relation to reproductive justice and freedom. Reproductive freedom is so important to Black women because our bodies were stolen from our homeland. I said that. I said that last week, literally said that. We were beaten, raped, and denied justice at every turn. And she gave some really good examples of attacks on Black women's body autonomy over time. Talked about the eugenics movement, right? So we can't ignore these conversations. She talks about the birthplace of modern gynecology. Dr. Jamila talked about that, and she talked about the book Medical Apartheid. So all these things have happened to us, but it's really important to really focus on choice, right? So yes, the conversations around genocide and the fears around that are very real. I don't ever want to minimize that. I understand them. I'm Black. I get it. But ultimately, when we're talking about reproductive justice, we're talking about body autonomy. We have to allow people to make choices for themselves and be empowered to do so. And so I think it's a conversation we need to continue to have. And hopefully we will continue to have. And so that was pretty much the recap of last week. I think we will likely bring this conversation up again, maybe in a different iteration of it. But it was really informative and helpful for me because, again, I can sit here and say that for me, I'm not planning to have any more children. The shop is closed. I don't really need to worry about, me thinking about having to consider an abortion, but that does not mean that I shouldn't be informed or updated on what's happening. And so I'm really grateful to Dr. Jamila Powell, Dr. Nurse, right? Also Dr. Kalfani, who literally does this kind of advocacy work for a living, that really, came through last week and last month to share that knowledge and insight around this really, really, really important issue. If you all have questions, feel free, drop them in the chat, inbox me, DM me, and we can definitely, do the best I can, reach out and get some answers for you. So that's really the main recap. Again, rest in peace to Ms. Bowie and her baby. And also wanted to make sure you guys understood what I meant when I said body autonomy in regards to conversations around abortion and reproductive justice. I'm ready to go to a commercial break. And then we're going to talk about some other stuff that I got on my mind.
This episode is sponsored in part by Bullet and Flight Radio. Get ready to uplift your spirit with Bullet and Flight Radio, the world's leading progressive Christian radio station. Experience the vibrant fusion of gospel house music and a rich medley of inspiration from all musical genres that'll make your heart soar. Join their extraordinary lineup of today's trailblazers, visionaries, and voices that matter, all sharing their stories and wisdom. Stay plugged in around the clock as they broadcast unmissable content 24/7. Your go-to station for all things inspiring. Become a pilot today by visiting bulletandflightradio.com. Bullet and Flight Radio. Your story, our station.
and we're back. I love watching those commercials. So you see them, and I also see them too on the back end. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am a member of the Pyro Media family. So proud of that. And they I guess I got, what is it, client of the quarter. I was like, what? So I was like, they like me. Okay, all right. Super proud of the work of Pyro Media Network and proud to be part of the family. I mean, if you have a podcast in your head that you need to get out, you might want to, sign up and have a conversation and see, can you get on here too? Because the big things is happening on this side of town. Okay, I'm just saying. Boom. All right, now over on the social media, the land of the social medias. I've been seeing some things, commenting on some things, talking about the things. One thing I saw on LinkedIn was this post, and I was compelled to respond. Let me tell you one thing about this doctorate degree. You be in this literature in the library, looking at these journal articles, reading, and it make you smart. You see things and oh my goodness gracious. So there was a post about a young man, and he was talking about the thousands and thousands of Black women that are missing in the United States, and nobody gives a shit. Okay, what is going on? So I saw the post. And the producer will put the graphics up so you can see the post. So I put the post. I saw the post, and I'm like, oh, I have to talk about this because guess what? I actually wrote a paper last year about this very thing. So the post was like, dang, all these thousands of women are missing, Black women are missing, and nobody cares. And under it was a cartoon of, showing a whole bunch of women on a board that were missing. And, the person was like, oh, poor little white girl. He's looking at one photo of a white girl and has his attention on that. And I said, oh, I know exactly what this is about. I know what this phenomenon is. And so it's called missing white women syndrome. There's literally a term for it. Again, in the literature, it's called missing white women syndrome. And I think one of the most interesting things about being in school is that what I notice is what the difference is that you know something inherently in your heart, either because you've experienced it yourself or you've seen it. The literature, the people in the libraries writing these articles give those things names and give them meaning. And I don't know if that means it validates it in some sense. We don't necessarily need that validation, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's like, dang, them Black girls be missing. Nobody cares. You might say that in your head and know that to be true in your head, but then you read this article and then they're actually looking through the crime data, and it's like, yeah, that's what's happening. And you're like, oh crap. So I'm going to read to you part of my paper because I was like, it was a good paper. I got an A on it, and my professor was like, you did a good job on this one. So that's what I'm finished to do. Listen here. Black community bears the burden of trying to seek justice for Black women who go missing or are murdered without the benefit of timely media attention that could lead to the apprehension of the perpetrator. Black women who go missing or are murdered leave behind family members and children that suffer mentally and economically from the loss. Summers, who was the person that wrote the article that I was telling you about, says less media coverage and attention on Black women who are victims of crime signals that they are less worthy and creates an underclass of victims, vulnerable to offenders who know that their victims will be easily dismissed or forgotten. Equitable media coverage of missing persons and other violent crimes against women will improve the way cases with Black women as victims are handled, increase the likelihood of convictions of offenders, and improve community trust in law enforcement. Black women are mischaracterized and stereotyped in life and in death. And when they are victims of crime, those mischaracterizations can negatively impact the resolution of their cases. Now, I'm going to stop here and say this. When I wrote this paper, it was around the time, I don't know if you remember, Tiani Theus, young woman who was killed and left on the side of the 110 freeway. And it was like, what happened? What is going on? Who did this and why? Because this is insane. So that's why I wrote this paper, because of her. So I'll say let me continue. Early media coverage of Tiani Theus characterized her as a sex worker, despite her age. I think she was like 16 years old. And the evolving language that more appropriately labels child prostitutes as victims of sex trafficking. This mischaracterization gave the impression that her murder was her fault because she engaged in sex work. Collins, another author I cited, says that Black women are given qualities to justify their oppression. Collins asserts that Black women are given qualities to justify their oppression, such as mammies, Jezebels, and breeder women of slavery to the smiling Aunt Jemimas on pancake mix boxes. Okay, so there's so much here. I'm gonna go down to the bottom. Now, I know y'all don't like critical race theory. Some of y'all don't. I don't have no problem with it. It makes sense to me. Critical race theory employs the concept of counter story. So how important it is to shift the narrative, because I just told you that the narrative determines how successfully Black missing women are found or how their cases are handled. So when we use critical race theory and interject this counter narrative and say that is not the truth, what you're putting out here as her being a sex worker is not the true story. Here's the counter narrative. We then help shift the story so that she gets her investigation gets the attention that it needs. And thankfully, there are journalists here in South Los Angeles that helped to shift the narrative, to tell the counter story. Slauson Girl, follow her if you don't know her, you need to. And Jasmine Canick, top tier, who shift those narratives. No, she was not a sex worker. And even if she was, why is she on the side of the freeway and she's unalived, right? So it's very important. So let me talk to you about this, and then I'm gonna move on, because then I start getting upset about these things because it don't make no sense to me, and it never will. Missing white women syndrome places disproportionate attention on missing person cases involving white women, while cases involving Black women receive significantly less media attention. According to Summers, who wrote the article I was telling you about, missing person cases involving Black people make up about 1/5 of such reports in the mainstream media, even though they make up 1/3 of all missing persons cases reported to the FBI. In 2020, Black girls and women were about 15% of the female population in the United States, but were approximately 34% of missing girls and women. We have a problem. And I'll say this before I go on. There was even differences in Tiani Theus, how her case was handled in regards to reward money. And again, media attention. And if you remember, that same month, there was a young white woman who was killed at work. She worked in a furniture store. She was stabbed. They found that man the next day. The reward money was higher. There was a whole different way that case was handled. And once that disproportionality was discovered, the city council and I think the county board of supervisors were like, what's happening? We need to fix this. So a lot of times I see stuff on LinkedIn and I take it as an opportunity to give insight. Not that that person's post wasn't insightful, not that I know more than that person, but I'm like, well, hey, I actually did a thing. Let me share what I know and what research I've done and why these things are important from a public health perspective and a social justice perspective. And the funny thing is, I watch a lot of true crime, y'all. And I was watching a true crime episode last night, and it was unfortunately a Black male offender. But one of the things that happened was, and this happened in South LA on the Figueroa corridor, he was murdering Black women. It was the same issue. They were Black, potentially either on drugs or sex workers, and quote unquote forgotten. And that's why nobody was worried about what happened to these women until they realized this dude is a serial killer. but it took a lot to get that attention placed on what was happening because of who they were. We're often mischaracterized. Our lives are valued less, and it is horrible. So just my little tidbit of information and knowledge to share with you all to be aware of these things. I know a lot of you know it in your heart because of how we live in this country, but there's people studying this stuff and actually like, listen, here's the data, here's the evidence, and here's a name for what we are seeing. And hopefully those types of things can help us get more money and more attention and more research on some of these problems. So that's me and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my favorite, actually one of my favorite social media sites. You wouldn't like what's going on LinkedIn. It's actually a lot. If you curate your feed appropriately, you will see all the things on LinkedIn. Like, I didn't know that. A lot of stuff I see now is psychological safety, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. I see stuff like this, things that affect my community, and it gives me an opportunity to either share or, to follow or to get more information. So it's really great. Now, on Instagram is Instagram. I still share my nail looks and do all the fun things there. And a lot of times I do cross post. So I think I shared that missing white women syndrome post onto Instagram as well. But TikTok is kind of, my thing. TikTok is the jam. That's the place where I am most myself. And I tend to just say stuff like, why, what is that? Or who is that? Or why is that on TikTok? That's where I go. So, over the last week or so, I had some interesting things happen. I hope I haven't talked about this before on here, but I had a fake textbook, y'all. I had a whole fake textbook. I didn't even know it. I bought it last year, and I'm studying it, and I said to myself, this font is real small. But I said, well, maybe I don't know. I don't know. So I had this book, and I'm reading it and doing all this stuff. And then one day, about 2 weeks ago, sitting in the library with my classmate, and she had her book, and I looked at her book. I said, why your book look different than my book? And so she said, I don't know. So I opened her book. Her book has got color in it. The font is large and beautiful. I said, what is going? And then as I looked real close, my book cover was photocopied. Like they had put it in a color copier and like put it on like cardstock paper. I said, what kind of, now I need to go down a rabbit hole. Who scams? Like, what kind of scam is that? Who says, okay, man, we finna photocopy this book and make copies of it and list it on Amazon and sell fake books? Who does that? And why? So, of course, I realized it's fake. I'm like, what the heck? It goes on TikTok because I got it. I got to tell everybody, like, don't do this. And I threw the book in the trash. It hurt my feelings. It just tossed it, boom, in the trash. So then, of course, I go back to Amazon and look back through my history, right, to see when did I buy this book. And I try to get the listing. The listing, of course, is gone because it's a fraudulent book. So it got taken down. I can't even go on Amazon and say, excuse me, I want my money back. If y'all know how to do that, can you let me know? Because, well, I done threw the book away, though. Maybe I can show them my TikTok video. I need to know how to get my money back. Because, of course, I had to buy the real book, and the real book was $75. So not only did I have to pay for a fake book, I had to pay for the real one. It's just too much. So when you buy books, pay attention to the ISBN number, the ISBN number. Make sure you're buying the correct, legitimate book. It's okay to buy used books too. That's fine, but check the ISBN number. I don't think I did. I think I did what most people do on Amazon. You look for a pair of shoes, right? A pair of blue tennis shoes, right? And you find the kind you want, and you look for the cheapest one, and you buy the cheapest one. That's what I did with this book listing, not realizing that somebody would make a freaking fake book. I'm thinking it's the real book, but it's cheaper. No. So pay attention to stuff like that because people are crazy. And yeah, it was only $25, but that was my $25. That's gone. Don't do it. All right. I did that red flag filter that everybody's doing, and it was playing me close, talking about my red flags is that I'm vegan and I don't know how to cook. And I'm like, what kind of lie is that? What is wrong with being vegan? Why is being vegan a red flag? That hurt my spirit. I didn't appreciate it. And TikTok is a hot mess on that one. But I've been looking at other people's, hilarious, because they're so very like on point and very descriptive. I'm like, is there's like a person on the back end looking at these people and actually typing these red flags in real time, because they sound so specific. It's not even funny. But TikTok is good for that kind of fun and honestly time wasting activities. Don't waste too much time on there. You better look around. Whole day that went by you on TikTok. Last thing I'll talk about, well, not the last thing, second to last. Yesterday, Sukiana and YK Osiris. What the heck was that? What is YK Osiris? What's wrong? If you don't know what happened, they were somewhere at some sort of event. She was sitting at the table with several other guys, and then YK Osiris walks up and literally like tries to like deep kiss her in her mouth. Of course, she moves, she's like trying to move around and stop, right? And she's turning her face. Obvious signal that, can you stop? Like, I don't want this from you. But then he comes back in for another one. And it was really crazy that nobody said anything. Like those guys that were sitting around her kind of just let it happen. And it was appalling to me, the comments I was seeing on social media. I mean, well, she's this way and she's that way. We learned in kindergarten, well, at least I did, that you're supposed to keep your hands to yourself. I don't know how we as adults have forgotten that. But we need to do better. And I did see that he did apologize, which I appreciate, but it's like, dude, read the room, pay attention to people's body cues. There was no way in the world that was, I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was bothered. I talked to my daughter about it. She said, I'm very upset about it. This is crazy. Nobody, look, my motto in life, I don't touch nobody. Some people at work, oh, I'm a hugger. Motherfucker, don't touch me. I'm not, okay? So just don't touch nobody. Just don't, until they tell you it's okay. That's it, full stop, period. Don't touch nobody until they tell you it's okay. Last thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, this last thing I want to share with y'all speaks to why it's so important to have Black people in STEM, in technology, in artificial intelligence, in all these fabulous things, because we can bring a different perspective to everything. This woman named Chrysanthemum on IG and TikTok, she made a TikTok filter that will help you part your hair. Come on. Do you understand? Did you? Hello? She created a TikTok filter. Now, it's actually, I think, 2 filters. One of them is the one that helps you figure out how to get your center part, right? Because, you're trying to do your bust down and your weave and your part ain't straight in the middle. So she made that one. And the one you see on the screen for your braids. What if you by yourself and you trying to part your braid? Look at that. She created a filter to help you braid your hair. I said that if that ain't top tier, I don't know what is. Do y'all see that? That would have helped me. I have faux locks in, like the ones on my picture. And we be trying. We try. Andrea does a good job of getting the braids, but sometimes it's rough. Like, is this side higher than this side? Your head lopsided. What? This helps you with that. So smart. I love us, because nobody else would have figured that out for us. It had to be us to figure this out for ourselves. So go visit her. Chrysanthemum is her name. Her name is Connie K. And the Connie's in the K is spelled with a K. Child, y'all know what I'm trying to say. But it's Chrysanthemum on TikTok. And look at this filter. She's been tweaking it, modifying it and stuff. It's amazing. So anyway, follow me on social media, y'all. I share stuff like this. I'd be talking about whatever. Sometimes, whatever. Just follow me because I got things to say. And sometimes, every so often it makes sense. Every so often. But anyway, y'all, I'm going to go. It's Thursday, almost Friday. And we'll be heading into a beautiful weekend of Father's Day and Juneteenth. I wish all of you a happy Father's Day and a happy Juneteenth. But in the meantime, follow me on social media. All my handles are the same, Nicole D. Vick. I'm trying to keep it consistent around here, Nicole D. Vick. Oh, and very soon it's going to be Nicole D. Vick, EDD candidate, baby. We working toward it. It's coming. I'll be a doctor in less than a year. Amazing. Visit my website. We're actually revamping it. It's going to be top tier. It already is, but you know what I'm saying? We always got to add a little sprinkle seasoning to it. I have 2 books, Pushing Through, Finding the Light in Every Lesson, and Push Through, 52 Weeks of Light in Tough Times, available on Amazon or from me. On the website, you can get it from me. I'll send it to you. All right, y'all. I hope you have a fabulous week. I'll see you next time. Bye.
If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Pyro Media Network's YouTube channel for more awesome content. Plus, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live or upload new videos. Visit pyromedianetwork.com today, not just to check out our incredible roster of talented creatives, but also to gain access to exclusive bonus material available only to our Pyro fam. Show your support for this Black-owned indie network by donating today. Help us keep igniting brands everywhere.